Thank you everyone for coming today. My name is Bill Knapp. I am the CEO at PaceJet, and I'm very much looking forward to spending the next 45 minutes with you and introducing you to William Rome and some of the things that they are doing in the area of supply chain and logistics. I saw this title, William Rome saves 2 hours a day with fully connected shipping. That's a long tooth message. So I think it's just, we're going to leave it as William Rome saves the day with fully connected shipping. So I hope that more easily resonates with you. To get started, let me introduce, I've already introduced myself and there's my picture, but let me introduce you to PJ Greco. And he is the president at William Rome Corporation. And PJ, if you could just kind of give us a little bit of on your background of yourself before we delve into your company.
Sure. So yeah, my background is mostly in the medical device industry. It's where I spent the first maybe 7 to 9 years after college working on medical device startups and then consulting for other manufacturers of medical devices. And so I'm kind of in a bit of a different world here, but one I enjoy much more. And with William Rome, we make personal care amenities, so your shampoos, conditioners, lotions, and primarily the business sells to the hotel industry. So
okay,
it's been exciting.
Excellent. Well, welcome and thank you so much for participating today. And you know, I can't let this slip. I'm sorry, but you can't spell PaceJet without PJ. So
that's right.
That's right. That's a dad
a lot
joke.
of the custom fields within NetSuite, they'll start with PJ, and so you know some people think I'm naming them after myself, but no.
Well, we appreciate it. So let me just go on. Let's talk about what we're going to cover today, and this is somewhat of a loose outline. And I do want to say to you that it's important that we make this as interactive as possible. And of course, we're going to be presenting to you, but if you have questions, please do not hesitate to put them in the chat line, send them in, and whatever instructions you've been given for this. Because I want to make sure that we make it tailored to what your interests are and what you're looking to gain from this as much as what we think you're looking to gain. So we're first going to start off with a brief introduction of PaceJet, who PaceJet is, as well as William Rome. And then we're really going to get into William Rome's challenges. You know, how did they come to this situation and working with PaceJet, about their environment in terms of the things that they were specifically looking at in terms of requirements and what's their process been. And we're also going to look a little bit future forward. You know, what are the things that they're looking to do as they move forward, and then open the floor for you to ask questions. So let's get rolling right into it. And first thing, let me tell you a little bit about PaceJet. We are, first off, a division of 3GTMS. In fact, that happened just this year. We were acquired by 3GTMS, something that we sought ourselves. And you know, not every acquisition is just the right fit, but if you may, 3GTMS together with us provides the full suite of logistics solutions. We are a multi-carrier shipping solution. I'll explain that in a moment. But we focus mostly on rating, booking of those shipments and tracking those shipments, and of course reporting, and we do that in a very powerful way. 3GTMS, on the other hand, is a transportation management system, which for those of you that are uninitiated by all of these terms and jargon, provides really that visibility from order to cash settlement. So quickly, before I get into who we are, PaceJet, 3GTMS, really, if you think about what I just said, is handling the order management, the planning, the optimization of the shipments, looking at mixed mode types of shipments, multi-stop types of operations, more complex types of routing and algorithms for handling a larger amount of shipping, and hence they really deal mostly with upper tier 1 types of businesses. PaceJet, on the other hand, is a leading multi-carrier shipping solution in the small to medium-sized business area. And to define that, I would say we deal with companies that are generally from about $5 million to $10 million, all the way up to about $200 and $250 million. So that's a pretty wide gap, if you may, or breadth of different market that we deal with. And then, of course, 3G goes up from there and deals with some of the largest companies in the country in doing that. Deep native integrations is a hallmark of our product. As well as that we are a true SaaS product. So we are multi-tenant. I'm not going to go into those details on that. You can ask questions and we're more than happy to talk after this, but essentially we were born in the cloud to be placed in the cloud, not just as an afterthought for a hosting operation, but rather for the efficiency for your business as well as other businesses. And frankly, that has become a real bellwether here during this time of pandemic, where we're not able to office, we're not able to come together, we're not able to maintain systems on our own as we once were. And so I think the concepts of SaaS that hopefully you're hearing from all of the partners throughout this, of our partners and hopefully your partners, of the people that are putting this summit together, you're hearing the strength of and the power of software as a service. PaceJet also, as was denoted on the earlier slide, it's connectivity. And I really want to amplify this word fully connected and connectivity to you, because I think it's a real important thing, and we think it's a very important thing for you to understand. And I'm going to break it down into 4 areas for you. First off, connectivity, I look at, and first and foremost is the importance of what we bring to the table related to connectivity is that we provide real-time connectivity. So it is active real-time connectivity to our carrier network. That means that we're directly connected and integrated to those carriers. We're not going through a third-party database or a third-party provider for those. We have built those relationships. We are certified with them. And the importance there is on 3 fronts, really. The speed of our connection is going to be at the utmost in contrast to going through multiple leaps to get to your carriers. Very important as your volumes increase and as critical end-of-day shipping, et cetera, takes place. We then, as a result of that, have a tighter business relationship with those carriers. So when there is a problem, or if there's an issue related to accuracy, we can better address that because we know that carrier, we know that system, we work with their APIs, as we call them. And the last thing is that it helps us to open to more levels than most of our competitors have in terms of shipping methods. Now, you might not be aware of this, but when you look at a FedEx or a UPS or many of the other carriers, there's multiple levels of shipping. You may be aware of a couple, but there are dozens of levels. And frankly, in the world that we reside, we are called upon to make those levels accessible to our audiences. And so this connectivity, this real-time connectivity and direct connection is very important. Secondly, connectivity to business systems. We're very proud to say that we have come together in a very deliberate way on this with this supply chain initiative, because we have connectivity in a business relationship, and we've built out more connectivity at the systems level with RF Smart. We leverage Soligo for some of our connectivity, specifically in the Netsuite area, to go to the Logfire product, which is the larger WMS solution for the in the Netsuite Oracle world, and more. So it is vastly important for us to not only be connected to, and as native a mode as possible, or in a native mode with people like Netsuite, but then to carry that forward and be connected to ancillary products that you're using, so that any way that someone's looking to turn when they're using shipping and they're looking for a shipper, as they might use SPS Commerce, for instance. Oh, yeah, we have a very strong business and partner relationship and technical relationship with PaceJet, turning to RF Smart, turning to Celigo, and many others in the area. So a very important aspect to be connected to multiple business systems in this world. Third level is really connecting to business flows, and I'm going to cover this in a little bit more detail. But if you look at that balloon where it says RESTful API, in providing not just the integrations to make what I just talked about with these connectivities to business systems happen, but ensuring that the workflows within those applications are available to you for different levels of scale and dimension packing, for consolidated shipping, for bulk shipping, for different operations that you're looking for, and those kind of workflows that flow through your ERP system and as well in the supply chain software that you're leveraging become a great value, in as much as the reduction in cost and hopefully shipping that you're gaining from us. And lastly is that connectivity between shippers and their data. And as you look at analytics and financial services on these balloons here, it's simple. The more information that you have that's readily accessible to you to make business decisions on what is the best routes, what are the best carriers, what is the most cost-effective way for me to ship, where are my errors being introduced, and being able to address those errors, because this is a very, very fast-paced, fluid environment when we talk about logistics and shipping. So the kind of reporting and analytics becomes critical so that you have the ability to make very quick, agile decisions, and that's very much a part of the world today we all are in. Finally, just to share, we have, as you can see, 65 plus, I don't know, maybe 70 carriers in our network, one of the largest carrier networks for a multi-carrier shipping solution. That represents about 95+% of all of the LTL routes across the United States and North America, for that matter. We predominantly are focused in North America, though we do points of origin from North America out to the world, across the globe. But we have a very thorough coverage, and we're always growing that. And that extends beyond just LTL or pallet shipping for you that are just parcel shippers. We have a very complete and extensive carrier network for parcel shipping throughout North America. Of course, that includes Canada as well as the United States. And then going into more courier services, going into more final mile types of programs. We have a number of carriers in those areas. And finally, to add, we have hooked ourselves up with the top 3PLs. So some of you are potentially leveraging a 3PL, not in its entirety, but rather to get a cost advantage for a carrier fee. And we do those linkages as well. The other part of the difference really is that we have a relationship with Netsuite. We are their SDN partner. We are the partner that is the go-to for them when they look for more complex, more complete shipping operations. We were the partner of the year in 2017. I'd like to say we've been a partner of the year every one of those years, but they only let you do it like once every 10 years. So I got to wait a long time, but it's quite an honor to have that. That says two things. One, the volume of the work that we do, we're extremely well connected. We have the technology, and we have a staff that really understands NetSuite. We do our own builds and work around the NetSuite platform. The other thing that I want to mention is really to focus on service excellence. As you can see some of these stats below, we're very proud, and it's very important for us to maintain our customer satisfaction level at above 95%, as well as that reflects into our ability to retain. And then simply put, our experience, over 3 billion shipments. That always kind of rocks me when I see that number. I also want to say that we had over this past year about $300 million in freight spend across our network. And we like to look at this almost comically and think about freight spend and what's the GNP, what country are we equal to? And I think we are now to Senegal in terms of equal to the gross national product from what we do. So with over 500 customers and 3 billion shipments that we've done, you can see that we've done this for a long time, and we have quite a powerful sized organization behind that. Let me turn this over now, get away from me for a moment, or from PaceJet and 3G, and turn it over to PJ. And maybe PJ, you can start us off by telling us just a little bit of history behind William Rome.
Sure, yeah. So William Rome, as you can see on the slide, started in 2013, and it was based on the idea that why, when we travel, do we get whatever the shampoo and amenities that are in the restroom aren't to the same quality as what I would buy for myself if I were at home. And so the idea was that we could do it better. And so we started making extremely high quality hotel amenities. And just out of experience using the product, customers that stayed, or guests at the hotels, would reach out to us and say, where can I get this? I loved it at this hotel, we're going to get it for home. And so the retail side of the business has grown just kind of organically from people staying in the different hotels. But we are a pretty small company. There's 3 of us in the office and about 12 to 15, depending on the time of the year, in the production facility. So needless to say, it's critical for us to be able to leverage tools like PaceJet software to be able to be as effective as possible with a small workforce, because we do try to view ourselves as operating like a big business, even though we are not there yet. So we act the part, and hopefully that in time that will become the reality. So so we make everything that you would find in your hotel restroom. So the soaps, shampoos, conditioner, shower gel. Some of it is sourced, but primarily the liquids are what we manufacture here. So.
Very good. So by the way, as Caitlin mentioned earlier, we're going to be sending all of you that are here online with us today some good sampling of their products. And I'm just saying, it's made my skin look beautiful, PJ.
Yeah, I noticed that. You had quite a glow today. I was wondering if you used it.
Well, let's get into kind of where this started from. So maybe you could walk us back a little bit. As you moved and made a decision to go to Netsuite, where did you come from in terms of your business systems, and how did you look upon this area of logistics and shipping? What are some of the challenges that you were facing that made you make this direction change?
Sure. So as I was getting ready for this conversation, I was trying to put myself back in that position. It was early to mid 2018 when we decided to go forward with PaceJet, and I was trying to remember what were things like back then. And I mentioned briefly that before this I was in a completely different industry. So my experience to shipping prior to joining William Rome, which after joining William Rome, it was only a matter of a couple months before we got Netsuite, and then Netsuite led us to PaceJet. But before William Rome, my experience with shipping was no more than somebody who only maybe ships a package once or twice a year to somebody, or goes only to ship returns back to. So I had no experience in reality with shipping or moving freight at all. The letters LTL didn't mean anything to me. And so as I came into the business, and everything at the beginning was very, as startups are, they're elementary, you're using spreadsheets, multiple spreadsheets. And so we said, we need a system. And we decided to go with Netsuite. And then when Netsuite opened my eyes to this world of possibilities of all these integrations we can get. And to be honest, I was just shocked at how archaic the LTL, specifically the LTL process. I could not believe that, here every day we've got somebody who takes this time. And we mentioned at the title that it was 2 hours. I I mentioned 2 hours because I'm confident it's at least that, but it may have been more than that then. I know it would be more than that now, in time that was spent. So we've got all our pallets packed up. We need to wait for the weights to come back from the warehouse, and so then there would be the stack of shipments that need to be done, and we would have somebody go to the website of XYZ carrier and enter in all the information. And I was just like, I was blown away that this is happening every day on such a what seems like could be a very automated process. So I was like, well, there's got to be something out there. So I started looking, and I came across PaceJet, and really it was their LTL integration that really set them apart from everybody else. And so it made sense that this is what we need to do. And since then, yeah, so it's at least 2 hours a day that it's saved, but it's more than just the time. It's really not only the convenience, but also the ability for us to serve our customer better. So when you're on the phone with somebody and they want to know how much is that going to cost, you just have to click a button and you've got your quote there, and you don't have to say, well, let me put that together and I'll email it to you. And then then you're just adding it to your to-do list because you got to go to the website and look up the rate and all that. So we were faced with this challenge of not only trying to save time, but also I remember it was Christmas Eve of 2018 when I got an email from Amazon saying you're going to be booted from the platform because you have too many late shipments. And I was like, no, we've shipped all this. So I looked, and our system said that we shipped them all, but it happened that the person entering the tracking numbers was making typos on a regular basis. So although the product may already be with the customer, Amazon doesn't recognize that until they get a valid tracking number. So just another reason that we needed, less human error and more automatic transfer of data. I mean, you're just transmitting information back and forth. It's not like certain jobs require human intervention, but transferring tracking numbers and weights and calling trucks, it can be done and should be done automatically. So needless to say that just poured fuel on the fire for me to get this PaceJet configuration set up and ready to go. Because you don't want to not be selling on Amazon. The whole world is buying on Amazon, especially now.
And of course, we could spend our whole time just talking about Amazon here, frankly, and I'd love to get more thoughts on that because that's and so Amazon, you're saying, was not tolerant of mistakes, just gave you a call and said, could you please make this correction?
Right. So at the time, well, it wasn't called an email. At the time, you would have to go we would ship something, and then we would have the tracking number, and we would have to go log into Amazon and input that tracking number to validate that we did actually ship it. And so we don't need to do that anymore.
Well, let me ask you this, with that whole concept, one of the things that many of our customers talk about is shipping errors. Shipping errors seem because of what you gave a great example, and that is Amazon saying, and I'm just being clever there because they're not tolerant of any mistake. It just gets pushed back on your dock. What's the cost of an error of a shipment that gets returned to you? Do you have a sense of that?
It can be, it depends on, well, if it went parcel and it was just one box, then the cost would be, of course, we need to send a replacement right away because we sell to hotels and they don't hold much inventory, and they obviously you're not going to go to your hotel room and not have shampoo. So they need it. And so before we do anything, before we look into whose fault it was, what happened, why did it happen, where did it happen, first thing we do is send another case. And that's expensive because, we've got to figure out then how do we resolve this. And it's not easy, and maybe intentionally so, it's not easy to resolve shipping claims. But yeah, so that's a frustration. But then, if it were an entire pallet, obviously we're talking then in the thousands of dollars. But pallets tend to have less damage. But when they do get lost or are damaged, then it's more significant. But we prefer the LTL method, and that's why we really couldn't, because out of the box, NetSuite has some shipping features with just the two big UPS and FedEx, but we quickly found out that that's not sufficient, and you also don't want to have two different ways to do the same thing. And whether if you're shipping FedEx, you do it this way, and UPS, you have to do it this way. PaceJet just lets us do it the same way every time, and it doesn't matter. You get to pick who the carrier is, and that's another thing that just to mention that I didn't even realize was going to be an advantage is that so we typically would always, because we were manually going to the carrier's website, we would essentially go to the website of the carrier that was most user-friendly and easiest for us to use, unless the customer specifically asked for a different carrier. So if we were going to carrier X, we just went there because that's a habit and it's simple. But what PaceJet did is open our eyes to, well, maybe if you don't go to this carrier every time, you could be saving $10, $20 per shipment, and adds up quickly. So it gives you visibility into where you're needlessly wasting money.
Okay. So, one of the things you're talking about is the whole concept of having a carrier. I know when you started, you had kind of a preferred carrier and a pure preferred direction, and this allowed you to expand. And how many carriers do you work with now?
So we've got 4 LTL carriers into our PaceJet configuration at the moment, and then the 3 big parcel with UPS, FedEx, and USPS.
Okay. In addition to that, one of the things that we've obviously had a chance to talk a little bit, PJ, and we know your business. One of the areas that you mentioned in your legacy system was that lack of reporting. Talk to me a little bit about, or talk to us rather, about reporting and the importance of reporting, and what kind of reports do you get now, and what kind of things do you look at as you've evolved your whole operation?
So we get reports on a monthly basis from PaceJet that tell us, how much did we save by selecting the option that we did select compared to if we would have selected the next option, or if, for example, we've got maybe certain customers, or for some reason we're selecting a certain carrier, PaceJet will let us know, well, if you had actually just gone with this other carrier, you could have saved XYZ. And so maybe that would lead to the discussion, because we try to, we always feel like we're shopping on behalf of our customers. So we're getting them the best rate, and we just pass through the freight charges, what we're charged at. So if a customer says, maybe I only want this certain freight carrier, I don't want to use names to give anybody a good or a bad name, but if this customer is always asking for the same carrier, and we can see from PaceJet that, well, if you would just select this carrier, this other one, you could be saving $50 every order. Mm-hmm. And so when they, if they are price sensitive, maybe this is a way to make them, because it is a premium product. We sell a premium product. And so anywhere we can save on the externalities to the customer is significant for us, because we're not competing on price of our product. And so if we can save them on the shipping, it's a significant advantage.
Does that's fascinating. Do your customers respond to that? Do you feel that impacts your customer satisfaction?
Yeah, because some people, everybody's different, but at the end of the day, if you're going to save money and the service isn't going to be worse, they're open to a different carrier. And and then it also it leads to competition, because those carriers that you all of a sudden stop using, all of a sudden show up at your door asking what's going on, can we get you a better rate? So it kind of opens the door to a free market environment, which is nice, because otherwise, if you're not competing, you're never going to get a better deal. But yeah, the customers are open to that. We do have some really cool, like, hotels that only a certain carrier can get to, because they're just so remote or in a strange place. But in general, if we tell a customer you'd save by just switching carriers, they're more than happy to do it.
Okay. Okay. So some of the things that, well, first, let me ask this, just in terms of your size, how many SKUs do you have? And, how many people are working in your supply chain warehouse facility? Not just shipping.
If you count finished goods, we've got about 200 SKUs, so it's quite a bit. But and then each of those have their components.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you reduce you said earlier about the 2 hours a day of managing LTL shipments, and that makes sense because there's a lot of steps that you have to do. Does that include printing of labels and bills of lading and such?
Yes. Yes. Good point. That's another headache that was just eliminated. So one of the biggest things that I love about PaceJet that may not seem as important to other people, but to me, it's just, I love the fact that when you click the button, you're done because you can move on to the next thing.
Okay.
Before PaceJet, we would have to make sure to call and say, okay, we've got one pallet, we'll be here from 4 to 6, whatever. Now with PaceJet, we put in our hours of operation for the dock, and it tells them if we have 4 pallets, 10 pallets, whatever. We don't have to worry about it. Once you click ship, it's on to the next thing, and that's what we really need to do is just get on to the next thing, and let shipping. In my world, the less you spend on shipping, the better. The less energy and time, not necessarily just money, but just taking away these little repetitive tasks, because it is repetitive because everything has to be shipped. So it's not having to print anything, not having to call anybody. Sounds small, but it's huge to me.
No, understood. And I'm sure there's other people that have some of the same kind of experiences that you have had. You talked about business, so that did you put NetSuite in originally to scale your business, that you were at a point where you needed to, you were in a growth mode, or you weren't capturing the right information? What kind of drove you in that direction?
So I was brought into the business to change the business. So the owners at the time just had a lot of reasons for wanting to change the way the business was going. And so one of the things I thought after some time learning the business, I thought, well, we need one system, because everything was siloed. You had different spreadsheets, people working on different spreadsheets at different times that may have had different sources of information, calling the same thing by different names. And so there just needed to be a system, an ERP system. So there was no system before. And so it just, you've got all your options. And of course, QuickBooks is of a company of this size, that would be one of the first recommendations by many people. But and in my previous career, I helped people implement new systems and move from one to another. And so I knew I needed something that I wasn't going to have to do this again later. And NetSuite, what stood out to me about NetSuite was that not only could it scale to be significantly, a big company could use it, but also I can handle customization and configuration of it without a team of consultants. And so it's kind of that sweet spot of, a big company tool with a small company maintenance or requirement for configuration.
Excellent. I'm seeing up on the screen now 15% growth in e-commerce business since last fiscal year.
Yeah.
I think the growth factor for e-commerce is about 12 to 13% across North America, and the United States at least. So you're finding more and more growth in that area. Tell us a little bit about your e-commerce business. How many storefronts do you have and such, and how do you leverage?
So originally, it was kind of an afterthought that we've got the hotel business is what we're going after. That's the way that's what the company was founded for, and that was the intention. And then as people reach out, you say, well, why not make some larger size products? And it was basically WilliamRome.com was actually at the time it was shop.williamrome.com, and so WilliamRome.com was really geared toward the hotel industry, and we've kind of since we've flipped that. So you go to WilliamRome.com and the focus of the brand is on the individual end user, and then you jump to another website, which is a Suite Commerce website for the wholesale hotel products. And so yeah, as people reached out and said, we want this at home, it just seemed to make more sense to focus on that. And so now we've got Amazon, as we mentioned. We use Shopify for our main retail site, and then Suite Commerce, or Netsuite website for the main part of the business, which is the wholesale hospitality industry.
Okay, so you really have a fully, you're not just a manufacturer or retailer, and for that matter, you're based on all the shipping you do, you're a distributor as well. So we're finding more and more of our customers are that, I don't even know if I want to call it a hybrid. It's just the reality of today that you have to have an e-commerce site. You have to open the doors for different ways for ordering and working with your customers. You have to go to smaller volume, customers, such as personal care products for individuals, in addition to what your base business of the hotels has been. It's just all a part of that challenge. So what do you see in terms of order turnaround right now? What do you strive for? What are some of the KPIs you have? And I'm thinking e-commerce. When an order comes in the door, how long does it take to get an order turned around? Of course, I'm talking if you have something in stock, it's not something you have to.
Yes, well, we send everything out same day. But any order made before 1 o'clock our time, Eastern time, we'll ship out the same day. And so we've got a 3PL partner, and they use our PaceJet instance. So we've got 3 different PaceJet workstations. So there's 2 here and 1 at our 3PL partner. So what we do is we make everything here, we pack up all of the wholesale stuff that is most likely all the LTL stuff, goes to our 3PL partner. They're stocked up with all of the hotel amenities, the bulk of our larger volume orders, and then the small things, because we like to have personal touch on some of the things. We'll throw in samples of different things and thank you notes, and all the personal touch stuff still happens here at the factory. So we're using, and that's another thing that's great with PaceJet, is we can print things from here for our 3PL partner, which is 35 minutes down the road, but It's easy for us to work and help them solve issues if there are any, back and forth, all just using the one PaceJet instance. So they're just users on our account at a different location, and makes it great.
So by you diversifying how you handle your business operations, that opens you now to doing more of that type of operation across the country, even, I would imagine.
Right. Yeah. This, hopefully, going for world domination, right? So we want to keep growing. If you're not growing, you're dying. So you're either going up or you're going down.
Right.
So we like to think of ourselves as going up. Of course, this coronavirus is, everybody's getting tired of hearing about it, but it is significant to us because our customers are hotels, and so we're now even going more aggressive to shift the percentage of our business that comes from the at-home retail buyer to make that more significant. So yeah, it will be useful to be able to spread and get product closer to individuals, so that, because they do expect that 1 or 2 day shipping, right? And we're not going to sell everything through Amazon. So yeah, it is nice. This is kind of our jumping off point of how to handle a network of distribution locations.
And I just want to point out that you notice I didn't ask you one COVID or pandemic question.
Yeah, I'm sorry I brought it up. It's
No, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did, because it's an enormous challenge. I'm absolutely certain about that. So as one of the things that I think everyone's going to want to know is, as we kind of move forward here and kind of wind things down, is what recommendations do you have for somebody that's adding shipping to their NetSuite environment? You've gone through this. You are very, very hands-on about what's going on in the business. You're kind of the butcher, baker, candlestick maker in many respects. And tell me, what recommendations do you have for to the audience that's listening in today?
So we were looking for an LTL solution, and one of the things that the modes of operation of the business at the time was that the customer dictates whether it's parcel or FedEx, which of course it's always the customer who would dictate. The customer is always right, but what we're doing now, what I would recommend is, instead of the configuration, the setup of when you first become a PaceJet customer and you're implementing things, take time to not necessarily. So the mistake I think I made was I was trying too hard to make PaceJet basically do exactly what we used to do to make PaceJet do it. But I've learned that there's reasons there are reasons that the PaceJet was built the way it is, and there's probably things we can learn from understanding why does PaceJet do it this way. Well, I want the customer to be able to see. So, for example, I'm giving a hypothetical thought in my mind. In 2018, I wanted the customer to see an LTL rate and a parcel rate next to each other and then make the decision. But really, it's best if we want to guide them towards the LTL, because we're going to, get better rates with those LTL companies by increasing our volume. We're going to also have less damage. We're going to maybe entice them to place larger orders instead of getting one box of shampoo every other day, and maybe they'll place an order once a month. And so anyway, the point is that when you're going through the configurations, you have to set aside time. It can't be an afterthought. You have to focus on how are we going to use this tool to really improve what we're doing, not just to replace what we're doing with a computer, but use the system and the experience of PaceJet to perhaps change for the better some of the ways you already do things.
That's excellent insight, by the way. Certainly businesses build out their processes and their flows, and often they're very, very comfortable with them, and often they are critical to the business, and so they should be maintained. But in other cases, they've built them out and they've just been retained, but yet time has passed. A great example of that, by the way, you didn't bring this one up, but as you've come on board, the whole connection with LTL carriers has been changing significantly to more dim weights and different ways of dimensions in putting rates together and handling loads. And with that, that's changed the way that we're working with them. And that's the evolution and the growth of the LTL industry. And so keeping up with those kind of things and not staying at some one level, but being available to take what's new and what may be advancing you faster that's a great point. And I think NetSuite's a great product for that. I'm interested too, you use Celigo, which is one of the other partners on the supply chain. How do you use Celigo?
Yeah, Celigo is great. We use Celigo primarily for integration between our Shopify site and NetSuite, and then Amazon for when the orders come in from Amazon, they go through Celigo into our NetSuite, and then they go through PaceJet for actual, when you do, so some of our products are fulfilled by Amazon, others are seller fulfilled, but those that are seller fulfilled will run through PaceJet. PaceJet goes back to NetSuite. NetSuite goes through Celigo back into Amazon. So it's one of those things that at first Celigo is, it takes a little bit of time to set up, but after a little bit of time, especially with their customer service reps, it's like I feel like I can I never did a computer science formal education, but it's such a great interface in terms of being able to match different fields and transfer information. So gotten quite comfortable with it. So primarily it's Shopify and Amazon with Celigo.
Excellent. Well, good.
Sorry, I knew there was a third one. We also use the Outlook Cloud Extend, which is a great product. So because we want to be able to have we use NetSuite as our sales CRM as well. So this way, anytime we communicate with customer or vendor, anytime that there's emails going on, we can log all of that in the customer or vendor record in NetSuite. That's been a great product, and it keeps improving. It's great.
So very, very, very integrated system. Well, we've somewhat come to the end of our time, but I just wanted to throw this back over to Caitlin. If there's, I've kind of used up a lot of our time, but are there a question or two that we can answer that have come in?
Yes, Bill, thank you. We did get a few come in here. One of them, actually, Bill, you kind of asked it already for PJ, asking him his supply chain tool stack, what it looked like, and how Sligo was able to solve his problems. And then we had one that came in for you, Bill. Does PaceJet handle cross-border shipments, transactions, and currencies?
Yes, we do cross-border shipments. We don't do any kind of currency conversion, but we handle all of the paperwork for import and export, and which is becoming more and more important, and load consolidation across borders and such as well. So there's a lot, our world is changing. Believe it or not, you think of shipping as shipping. It's simple. It's like put a stamp on an envelope. That's you mail something, and I think we all realize, hopefully on this call, that it's complex and changing. I mean, with the Amazonification, et cetera. And so yes, we do handle those areas, and yes, they're emerging into new and different areas. So never hesitate to call us up or call me up to find out what we can and cannot do to help out.
Wonderful. We got another one for you, Bill. For a medium company with approximately 5,000 SKUs, about how long would it take to transition to PaceJet?
5,000 SKUs?
Yes.
Is that right? Well, we look at things more in terms of shipments, not the number of packages. A shipment could have 400 packages to it. That's just one shipment. I'd say, if someone has 100 shipments a day, transitioning from whatever system, it could be, Ship Manager or World Ship or another, maybe older legacy type shipping platform that's on-prem and such. It could take as fast as a couple of weeks, and that is really driven by our customer and their availability to work on this and do the testing and work through the process. We assign a project manager and implementation team for each of our projects, and it could take on a normal basis, it could take a couple months to get up and running because of the testing, making sure that everything works. Because we obviously want to, when you go live, you want to be error free. So we're very strong on that.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think that's all the questions we have that have come through the chat here. So Bill, if you want to advance the slide here, we've got our contact information as well.
Very good.
And just a reminder that we will be sending out a gift, a couple William Rome products to all of our attendees for this session. So look out for an email for that. And as Bill mentioned, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about PaceJet or how we can help you.
And if I may, just something to the people watching it, when Caitlin asked me to do this, most of the time when people ask you to do things, you're like, well, do I really want to? How's it going to help? The reason I'm so eager and willing to take the time to explain my situation or my experience with PaceJet, and I saw there was also Sligo co-sponsored. Both of the companies, PaceJet and Sligo, the things that make them stand out, and the reason why I would suggest that you select them is not necessarily like what you see in the demo, but it's what happens after and you implement and when you're working with them. Because if inevitably there'll be something that you need to figure out how to do, or needs to be changed, or needs to be done, and both of the companies, they'll never just tell you, well, it can't be done that way, or we don't do it that way, or you have to do. They work with you and put considerable effort into improving the system regularly. I mean, I can list maybe a dozen improvements that have been made at my request. And and then there's others where you say, hey, I think this would be a great idea, and they've already thought of it. I'm not the only one experiencing this, and it's coming down the road. So what's great about both of these systems is that it's constantly getting better. And so, and then maybe they don't like hearing so much from me, but I provide a lot of feedback, and so maybe they owe me for all the improvements. I'm just kidding, but things keep getting better, and they're always striving to make your experience good and solve any problems that come up. So, highly recommend both companies.
Well, very, thank you so much, PJ, and you've just confirmed why we named the company after you. So there you are.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate the time you've spent with us.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.